Their images faded, relegated to the dusty pages of history. But now,
Crazy Horse, literally, his horse is crazy, was born circa September 5, 1840, 1877. He was a Lakota war chief of the Oglala Band. He took up arms against the United States federal government to resist the encroachment of white American settlers on Native American territory and to preserve the traditional Lakota way of life. His participation in several famous battles of the Black Hills War on the northern Great Plains, among them the 1866 Battle of Fetterman, in which he acted as a decoy, and the 1876 Battle of the Little Bighorn, in which he led a victorious group of warriors, earned him great respect from both his enemies and his own people. In September 1877, for months after surrendering to U.S. troops under General George Crook, Crazy Horse was seriously wounded by a bayonet-wielding military guard while allegedly resisting detention at Camp Robinson in northwest Nebraska. He was honored by the United States Postal Service in 1982 with a 13-cent postage stamp in the Great American series. Geronimo, Chiricahua, Goyle, often spelled Goyathle or Goyakla in English. June 16, 1829, February 17, 1909, was a Native American leader and medicine man of the Chiricahua Apache Nation who led his people against Mexico and the United States and their expansion into Apache lands. For decades in the Apache Wars, the Apaches led the Arizona Native American uprising against the white settlers and the United States military for self-rule. After 10 years of fighting, 1876-1886, he surrendered after reaching a number of agreements with the United States government, but the government later reneged on the agreement, and he was imprisoned in Oklahoma in an Indian concentration camp, where he lived as a corn farmer for the rest of his life. Later American history recognized him as a shining example of American heroism. American soldiers in World War II, especially paratroopers, often shouted his name as a battle cry. Sitting Bull Lakota, Thathranka Iotake, in standard Lakota spelling, also nicknamed Slanhi or Slow, circa 1831 December 15th, 1890, was a Lakota Hunkpapa leader who led his people as chief during their years of resistance against the United States government. Born near the Grand River in Dakota Territory, he was killed by Indian police on the Standing Rock Reservation in an attempt to arrest him and prevent him from supporting the Ghost Dance movement. He is credited with leading the Battle of Little Bighorn, in which the 7th U.S. Cavalry Regiment, consisting of 700 men commanded by General George Armstrong Custer, was defeated. 5 battalions of the regiment were destroyed. Black Elk, 1863-1950, an Oglala Lakota holy man, medicine man, and Hyoka. Although he is best known for the posthumously published book Black Elk Speaks, which chronicles his life and great vision. Who he was, Black Elk was a spiritual leader and medicine man of the Oglala Lakota tribe. He was a second cousin of War Chief Crazy Horse and participated in important events such as the Battle of the Little Bighorn. His legacy, his spiritual teachings and visions are central to his legacy, most notably documented in the book Black Elk Speaks. He is considered one of the most important spiritual leaders of the 20th century. Late life, in his later years, Black Elk converted to Catholicism but continued to share traditional Lakota teachings and practices. Chief Rushing Bear was an Iroquois Indian chief of the 19th century. His Iroquois name, Kunikstunawanks or Kunidunawenig, means rushing bear, which is his common name in English, but the Iroquois people usually called him by the respectful title Son of the Star or Son of the Star. He was second in command under Chief White Shield, and served as the main chief of the Iroquois tribe in the late 1860s until his death in 1881. Lean Bear, Cheyenne name Awaniniku, circa 1813-1864. Also translated as Starving Bear. One was a Cheyenne peace chief. He was a member of the Council of 44, a tribal government dedicated to maintaining peace with the encroaching American settlers. Lean Bear's most notable peace agreements included the Treaty of Fort Wise and a meeting with U.S. President Abraham Lincoln. His work toward peace between his people and American settlers on the Southern Plains was interrupted when he was killed by the 1st Colorado Cavalry Regiment and violent reprisals ensued. Iron Shell Lakota, Thukahamaza, c. 1816-1896, was a Brule Sioux chief. He initially rose to prominence after the 1843 Pawnee Raid, becoming Deputy Brule Chief under Little Thunder. He became chief of the Brule Orphan Band during the Powder River War of 1866-1868. After the Sioux broke up the United States Gold Convoy for the Civil War, he signed the Treaty of Fort Laramie in 1868 and settled on the Great Sioux Reservation. He lived the rest of his life on what is now known as the Rosebud Indian Reservation. The Great Sioux Reservation was disbanded by the United States in 1889 and divided into 5 smaller reservations. Hollow Horn Bear was Iron Shell's son. Washakie, c. 1804-1810 February 20th, 1900, was a prominent Shoshone leader of the mid-19th century. In the late 19th century, Washakie became chief of the Eastern Shoshone tribe. In 1866, Washakie fought one-on-one with Chief Crow Big Robber to end a stalemate over the occupation of the Wind River Basin, which the Crow had claimed through the 1851 Treaty of Fort Laramie Horse Creek, although the area had long been used by the Shoshone. Washakie emerged victorious and displayed his enemy's heart on a spear. The event is commemorated at Crowheart Butte on the Wind River Indian Reservation. He was the only Shoshone warrior honored by the United States federal government for leading General George Crook's army to defeat the Sioux, following the defeat of Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer at Little Big Horn. Red Cloud Lakota, Mapia Luda, c. December 10, 1822-1909, was an Oglala Lakota leader from 1865 to 1909. He was one of the most capable Native American opponents the United States Army faced in the Western Territories. He led the Lakota to victory over the United States in the Red Cloud War, making the Lakota the only nation to defeat the United States on American soil. The largest action of the war was the 1866 Battle of Fetterman, with 81 U.S. soldiers killed. It was the worst military defeat suffered by the U.S. Army on the Great Plains until the Battle of Little Bighorn 10 years later. Ashishish, circa 1856-1923, known as Curly or Curly and Bull Half-White, was a Crow scout in the United States Army during the Sioux Wars, best known for being the last member of Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer's battalion to leave Custer's detachment before it was annihilated at the Battle of the Little Bighorn. He did not participate in Custer's final battle, but may have observed from a distance and was the first to report the defeat of the 7th Cavalry. Later, a legend spread that he was an active participant and escaped, leading to conflicting accounts of Curly's involvement in the historical record.